been getting calls from anybody about Lindenwood?
7 o'clock.
I've been out there several times.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. Roll call of Alderman.
Alderman Hazel.
Here.
Alderman Kinsella.
Here.
Alderman Schmidt.
Here.
Alderman Bittner.
Here.
Alderman Tyler.
Here.
Alderman Randall.
Here.
Alderman Ovian. Alderman Anthony.
Here.
Alderman Silsby. Alderman Dintelman.
Here.
Alderman Seibert. Alderman White.
Here.
Alderman Galletti.
Here.
Alderman Elmore.
Here.
Alderman Wigington. Alderman Musgrove.
Here.
Alderman Silsby is excused. We're all thinking, I think Alderman Ovian will be here just a moment, so we'll watch for him. A roll call of department heads.
City Attorney Horner.
Here.
City Treasurer Hart.
Here.
Police Chief Clay. Fire Chief Poor. Ken Vaughn. Royce Carlisle. Jamie Matrit. Tim Gregowitz. Jim Schneider. Leander Spearman. Chuck Schaefer. Bob Sabo. Debbie Belleville. Anissa McCaskill.
Lieutenant Colonel Sparger is here for Chief Clay, and Mike Parks is here for Chuck Schaefer. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, if you would please join me and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, before we go on the agenda, I just want to make sure we have a pretty full house here tonight. If anytime during the city council meetings we were to have to vacate this room because of severe weather, the police officers, there's several in the room, would help. Okay. Continuing, if there would be severe weather, the police officers will help guide you across the lobby to the stairway right across from the city clerk's office, going downstairs to a safe area, shelter area that's designated if we have some severe weather. If we were to have a smoke or fire where we had to leave the building, we would ask that you quietly and calmly leave by the way of the front door, carefully cross the street, and gather by the St. Clair County sign in front of the courthouse so that we can kind of ask each other if we think all the people that we were with or that we know of here are all out of the building, okay? Hope we never need those, but just some things to remember. We do not have a public hearing this evening, but I do want to make a comment before I open public participation. Public participation is an opportunity for those of you who wish to speak to raise your hand. When I call on you, I'll ask that you come to that center microphone, state your name, keep your comments to 2 to 3 minutes, and try to keep them on topic of city business, particularly stuff that's on the agenda, if at all possible, unless there's just something you have to share with us about the city. And we ask that you keep it in good character and that you make sure that your remarks are not at somebody but about an issue. Let it be known that Alderman Ovian's here, okay?
Your address too, Mayor.
What's it?
Have their
No.
address.
No. Ruling came out recently. We supposedly, according to the Attorney General, we can't ask the address. So it's a new ruling that I don't even know if I haven't discussed it, but I read it. It just came across my desk not too long ago, so the name and, yeah, something new. So at this time, we're going to move to public participation. I will ask that whoever would like to speak this evening possibly raise their hand. Okay, boy, this side of the room's heavy. Is this side? Okay, I'll start right here in the front row. Yes, ma'am.
Lillian Schneider. The council, before voting on this project, they should require a bond. If they do, this will prove that there is realistic and responsibility spending of our aldermen. If the companies don't want to get a bond, it possibly could put up a red flag, and then we would know. The city has already spent enough money. Who is going to take responsibility for an archaeology if there are artifacts found? And who will assume the cost of this? Was there even a study done on that? And last but least, we were promised a pool, not tennis courts, not soccer fields. We were promised there was going to be a pool. Lindenwood, which we are so much helping, was going to partner and get some other partners to go with this. Where's our pool we were promised?
Ma'am, I believe you had your hand up in the orange.
Hello, my name is Alicia Bradley. I just want to first thank Mayor Eckert, Chief Clay, Lieutenant Eisenkant, and our Alderman, Mr. Bittner. We had some concerns in our neighborhood regarding the increase of traffic from Lindenwood and the volume and the speeds in our school area. You all addressed those issues very quickly and efficiently, and we thank you very much. We have heard things about a special variance ordinance that Lindenwood is being granted, where they house more than what we, the city homeowners, can house. And we are here tonight to ask for clarity, if you can give any, or in what direction should we look for clarity in that. And then the other thing is, with Lindenwood's growth, will that increase our property taxes and decrease our home value? Thank you.
Okay. Okay, next. Yes, sir.
Michael Hagberg. Speaking about the Shrine project that's on the agenda tonight, first I will have to say that I do hope that if it does proceed, that it is successful, because that's the way we're going to grow, the city. But I don't see why at this point we're doubling the incentives to give to them when they haven't completed the first step. I'd say that take the contract as it is now, let them complete what they said they were going to complete, and then I'll let them come back and ask for an additional $16 million. But, having to double it up front before any real work is done is just not a wise choice at this time. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Melanie Jenkins. I just have a few concerns about Lindenwood. I myself am a college professor, not at Lindenwood, and I have a heart for college students. But my patience is being tried for a few reasons. For over a year, they had their dumpster on our property, not on their property, because I live within students there around us. And we dealt with it for a long time until there was a huge, huge divot because their trash car just kept going back and forth and causing this huge divot. Anyway, I mentioned something and they removed it, and I appreciate that, but it left a big hole in our property. And it's filling in fine, but they did nothing to address that. And then within the past 2 weeks, there's been 4 incidents where I found alcohol and beer bottles in our trash can. I left them a few voicemails. One man did get back with me and said he would send out a memo to the students, but then a few days later, I still had the beer. Because I know it's a dry campus and they're just dumping their evidence onto our property. So I turned my trash cans upside down, and that's worked so far, but I would just like that to be addressed. And then over the weekend, they had an umbrella on their property, and it's been there for months and months and months. Anyway, it's deteriorated, and anyway, the umbrella came and wedged itself by my husband's car, and it's all metal now, the handle is, and it started scratching and leaving a really bad mark on my husband's car. Also, the noise isn't too bad, but it's gotten worse in the past couple years. We have 2 children, and late at night, I'm afraid that they're going to be awakened, so I'm concerned about that. And also, there's some obscenities, too. We've taken the children out the car, like after parade or whatnot, and there'll be students out cursing. So I just hope there's some way we can have a better working relationship with Lindenwood.
Can I give you my card,
Yes.
please? And if you would mind emailing me tomorrow, I'll make sure the Lindenwood people get your concerns and your name.
Thank you.
And we'll address those best we can, okay? Yes?
Mayor, can I read a statement?
Well, I'd like to let the public go, and then we'll let the alderman go, okay?
Okay.
Okay, who is next in the public? Yes, ma'am.
Diane Rogie. I live at 2015 West A Street, so I'm right in the middle of all of this. I'm here tonight to bring attention to a great injustice to the tax-paying citizens of Belleville. Our past administration and city council turned a blind eye to the needs and wishes of the residents in order to formulate a self-serving relationship with Lindenwood. In 2008, I purchased a home in Belleville in a single-family residential neighborhood. I intentionally chose a single-family residential neighborhood because I like the atmosphere and dynamics that is associated with it. Enter Lindenwood University. In the past year, Lindenwood has purchased at least 40 single-family residential homes located close to the campus. No corporation as large as Lindenwood purchases property without first knowing how they are zoned. Lindenwood, in their arrogance and complete disrespect for the neighborhoods, has infiltrated, immediately assumed that they would be granted a special use variance just as they had been in the past. Without even applying for the variance, they began moving 6, 8, and 10 students into these single-family homes within weeks of purchase. Some of these students are sleeping in dining rooms. How is this not a state fire code violation? And yet the city administration supports this. At the Housing Committee meeting last Wednesday, we were told that Lindenwood will not be sent violations. In fact, in a follow-up email from Bob Sabo, he informed me that at the advice of City Attorney Garrett Horner, nothing will be done before the zoning hearing that has now been set for September 24th. How inconsiderate of the administration to ignore the pleas of help from the taxpaying citizens to cow down to the greed and arrogance of Lindenwood. The 6 houses in our block purchased by Lindenwood have never had more than 2 adults living in them since I have lived there. The single-family residential ordinance states that we cannot have more than 3 non-related adults ever. But this administration has ignored this and many of the other guidelines when it comes to Lindenwood. And so the double standards rears its ugly head again in Belleville. Almost every one of these students has a car, and so traffic and parking has become a nightmare in our neighborhood. Almost 70% of the green space of our neighborhoods have become gravel parking lots, also a violation of single-family residential ordinance. Our calls to Lindenwood have fallen on deaf ears. Their housing and their security tell us these students are adults and that they can only make suggestions to them. They can't control them. Lindenwood suggested that we call the Belleville City Police when we have issues. How can they be allowed to bombard our neighborhoods with 30 to 40 students per block that they cannot control? What about our safety and our quality of life? Another double standard that most residents are not aware of is the fact that the past council also made Lindenwood exempt from the crime-free housing ordinance. Not only do these homes not have to register, but they do not have to be inspected by city inspectors. Why is it we worry about absentee landlords when Lindenwood is the biggest slumlord in Belleville? So for those people thinking this does not affect them, let me enlighten you about your future taxes. All these homes purchased by Lindenwood become tax exempt. The decrease in taxable properties only increases the tax for the properties still paying taxes to make up the difference. The city of St. Charles and their council had the foresight and the wisdom to see Lindenwood for what they are. Lindenwood owns over 400 houses in St. Charles. St. Charles does not allow them to put more than 3 unrelated adults in these homes, and they are inspected by the city inspectors annually. They also do not allow them to change the dynamics of the neighborhood.
Ma'am, you're over 4 minutes now. Let's wind it up, please.
The first step in saving our neighborhoods and our quality of life is enlightening the city council to our concerns, because ultimately they will vote for or against this variance. They will vote in favor of us as the taxpaying citizens who they are supposed to represent, or they will vote in favor of corporate Lindenwood. I ask you to please consider them carefully before you destroy our homes and our quality of life.
Okay, who's next? Yes, sir?
Noah Brimmer. I'm here to talk about Lindenwood as well. I love this city. I grew up here. I wanted to raise a family here. I wanted to have neighbors like I had when I was growing up who helps take care of the neighborhood. Lindenwood may well be a good property owner, but their tenants have no love for the city or its rules, be they codified as ordinance or those unspoken rules that quietly tie every community together. Those tenants are the face that Lindenwood is putting forward. Here's what that face looks like. Extra trash showing up in my trash cans that I have no idea where it came from. Extra trash showing up in my yard. An increase in the number of cars parked on the street in front of every house on our block. An increase in the average speed of vehicles down these streets. An increase in the number of vehicles that accelerate through the neighborhood stop signs. An increase in noise after 10 p.m. leading my children, who are 6 and 10, to have a more difficult time falling and staying asleep. An increase in traffic in general after 10 p.m. Yesterday, driving up Main Street across from the college, my car got hit by a soccer ball from kids playing soccer in the quad. And finally, and I feel most grievous, there's Lindenwood students walking across the Union Elementary School campus at all hours of the day to use it as a shortcut. I feel like that's a big security risk. That's not the city that I moved into. That's not the city that I bought into. That's not the home that I invested in, and it's not the dream that I've built for my family. What do I want from it? Well, there's two possible things. One is I want equal privileges and protection. So if Lindenwood is allowed to move as many as 16 students in, depending on square footage, I feel like I should be able to apply for the same variances. I feel like I should deserve that same treatment. If my neighbors go to a city council meeting where they list off grievances, I expect that no action be taken pending a private meeting with you, Mayor. I expect that the housing inspectors also refuse to present citations pending the meeting with the mayor between myself and you. I expect to not have to refile for occupancy or be subject to further inspection every time I move a new individual in and out of my residence, as I'm told is the situation with Lindenwood. Second, since the first, like I said, seems unlikely, I'd like the rules to change. From a business standpoint, the idea of so many issues, along with those cited by my fellow voting citizens in attendance tonight, indicate that Lindenwood is unable to manage the numbers in the residential area. I would hate for the perception be that the city government is ignoring the needs of the many citizens for the needs of just one, the corporate citizen of Lindenwood. If the rule, which currently doesn't apply to Lindenwood in this circumstance, and that's why there's a zoning board meeting on the 24th, allows for these numbers, then I propose that the council change this ordinance to treat Lindenwood as it does every other citizen in the city. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Stuart, just wait a second. He got here. Wait, you're okay. Go ahead.
My name's Dale Wentz. I live on South 27th Street. I've been there 27 years, and I pretty much agree with what everybody said here. Give you an idea of our neighborhood. Maybe once every 2 years we'd have a situation where we call the police for something, usually minor, kids in the neighborhood. It's been a multiple time a week occurrence. It's not uncommon anymore at midnight to be woke up for loud music, fights in the street. One night we had 30 kids fighting in the street. I had to call 911. We have houses next door that one person lives in. There'll be 10 or 12 kids there at midnight playing music, waking my wife up and myself up and the kids. This is not what that's not what I invested in. I've got one of the original farmhouses in Belleville, and we've slowly restored it over the amount of time. And now I understand that Lindenwood's paying bottom dollar for houses, not paying taxes on it, and then for some situations they're paying people cash besides what they've paid, so they don't have to show, and they're not showing they don't show up on the county board of what they paid for the houses. And my understanding of talking to other people, that's going to lower our value of the houses, not counting that nobody was wanting to buy a house where there's kids everywhere. So that's what we're seeing in our neighborhood. And I ask yourself, is that what you'd want to see in your neighborhood? And it's not what I want to see in my neighborhood. And I agree there should be some reasonable limits put on what's going on. And Lindenwood will gladly say we have zero tolerance for alcohol. I'd like them to come pick all the beer cans. I don't drink alcohol. I don't drink beer. Come pick the beer cans up that are in my yard. The whiskey bottles. I washed my fence yesterday. There's two bottles laying by that's not right. And I've got an acre in town there. And what's that going to do? So just think about it. It's a bad situation, and I don't necessarily have answers, but this wasn't a bad situation last year. So what's changed between last year and now is bad, because nothing's good in the neighborhood. Look how many people you got here. We all live close together. I know all these people a long time. It's not right what's going on.
Thank you.
Something needs to be done. Thank you.
Okay, the gentleman in the hat's next.
Address? Did somebody say that?
Right.
Okay. Stuart Lannert, Belleville, Illinois. Yeah, Lindenwood, I've noticed this a long time ago. They kind of think whenever they say jump, the Belleville says how high. They got their big head. They think they own Belleville, and I always kind of make the joke, it ain't going to be long before they're going to make Belleville reroute West Main Street around their whole school. But just the other day, they've been after me for 5 or 6 years because they didn't, for some reason, we had a falling out about me walking my dog in front of their school, which I've been walking my dog that way for 4 or 5 years. So then they move in, and I was still walking my dog in front of their school, and they had probably of a total of 100 students at the time, and they were mostly night students. Well, anyway, they managed to have me arrested for criminal trespassing and had my dog put in the dog pound. So, and now here just the other day, I'm surrounded by Lindenwooders. Some Lindenwooders stole some of my property, so I had 2 of my friends, got some flyers printed up, and I had 2 of my friends put the flyers out, and it wasn't 15 minutes later, 2 of the Belleville police looked like they was from the SWAT team come down to my house and hauled me down to City Hall and arrested me for criminal trespassing on Lindenwood's property. When I was very careful not to set foot on their property. And it says on the ticket that you were told to leave their property. I was never told to talk to anybody on Lindenwood that day. And also, I agree with I was told a long time ago when Lindenwood started buying these single-family houses, I knew good and well those people that moved out of Belleville after their single-family house was sold, that they sure as heck ain't gonna move to Belleville. Nobody moves to Belleville intentionally. Once you got your house sold, you get out of town. So I don't really think Lindenwood is good for Belleville. There's been absolutely no development in the area at all. And
Your 3 minutes are up, Stuart.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Gentleman in the red t-shirt.
My name's Kirk Weber. I live on South 27th Street also. I share a lot of the concerns that all my other neighbors have. We have a lot of the same things. I too have lived in the house over 20 years. Our neighborhood has drastically changed in the last year. We've had a lot more traffic, and we too appreciate the promptness of getting the new speed limit signs put up. We too have seen police running radar and stopping people on our street, so it is slowing down. We do appreciate all of that. The amount of traffic difference, the amount of foot traffic, people traffic through the school, through our sidewalk, that is a big concern. The beer bottles, the liquor cans, everything that's there, we've never had that issue before. Don't know if it's all Lindenwood students. Say the word of the month on the agenda is respect. Lindenwood and the students need to respect us because we have been there. I'm not going anywhere. They're going to have to run me out of my house. So we are planning on staying. But we appreciate anything that you do, but we feel that we should be treated fairly. So thank you.
Okay, we agree. Gentleman in the back or in the back row.
Good evening, Mayor. I'm Ralph Carr. I'm also from 27th Street. And ever since Lindenwood's College has opened up and there's students on the street, there's high speed. I mean, I heard a motorcycle start off up at West Main the other day, but before I could even look out my front picture window, it was gone. That's ridiculous. I do not want to see anybody get injured or hurt on our street because of some stupid idiot. And then there's houses that seem to get an awful lot of traffic. In and out, in and out. Yous as parents, grandpas and grandmas, what kind of signal does that tell you? Something dirty's going on there. I pray to our Belleville mayor and our officers, check into this. I've lived there for 22 years along with the Webbers. I love Belleville. Mayor Eckert, I know you personally, you're a great guy, and I commend you for everything you're doing for Belleville. So like I said, as a resident on 27th, please check everything out and start looking at these weird houses, like a little green one in the middle of the block. Okay?
Okay. Anyone else? Ma'am, back?
I'm Lane Fleming, and I live at 2120 West A Street. I'm the one that's got the big ramp in the front yard. They have been coming on my property. I got a house next door to me, but they're coming in my driveway, squeezing between my big truck and my house when they've got a sidewalk on their own property. Just the other day, we was looking around and there was some trash, and we picked up a piece of trash tucked by my garage door in the alley, and in there, you can tell, they had drugs in there at one time, so I turned it over to a cop. I've got grandkids living there. I don't want drugs on my property. I've never used them, and I don't want them around me. Yesterday, we experienced they were playing a ball with a ball. It come in my fenced-in yard. I've got signs up, no trespassing, beware of dogs. They came in my yard with my dogs out there, and my dogs, one little dog gets feisty. I thought, well, if you get bit, it's not my problem. You're on my property. So they need to stay off my property, you know. And the alleys are really dark. I'm in the process now of getting floodlights and security cameras on my property because I'm afraid to walk out with my trash at night anymore. Okay. And that, so thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Natalie Kelsey, and I am here today to bring up this Midtown Scarecrow Harvest Festival. In meeting with the mayor, it was brought to my attention that we will be needing some additional approval for the following things. We would like to put up a banner and a few props in front of the parking lot. It's across from the Togo shop and Maxwell's for 2 to 3 weeks before the festival begins, just for great advertising. We would also like to reserve the parking lot starting Friday, October 16th at noon so that we may begin setting up and organizing this new exciting festival. In addition to the use of the parking lot, we would love to have permission to use the green space connected to the parking lot. And also, we're having 4204 serve beer and food, and they will be pursuing getting a special event liquor license. There will also be a food truck if it is allowed. It caters to healthy diet and is nutritious and delicious food, and it's in alignment with our festival. There's going to be live music throughout the day, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Just for everyone's information, this was approved originally, and I asked her because there was several additional things to bring it back here tonight for these additions, okay? We'll get to that under communications. Anything else from the public? Hearing none, yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Renee Walker. I am the parent treasurer for the Belleville East Marching Lancer Band Parent Association. I'm speaking to 12E. We are asking for an exception or an exemption to the raffle regulations for the city of Belleville. I believe they're listed there. Most people don't realize that that awesome marching band that you saw yesterday is pretty much completely funded by the parents. We have a budget annually of $120,000. That's on top of the money that we pay at registration. And what the school does in awesome support to give us fabulous band directors and a place to practice. But that's a lot on us as parents, so we're always looking for ways to raise money. In fact, we have a set of parents that are raising money tonight. But what we found is all of a sudden we have to replace our tuba line. Those tubas are $7,000 each, and we have 7 of them. We also need to replace our drum line. That's another $20,000. So that's on top of that $120,000 that we are out raising money for. So we're looking to put together a raffle. We've done all the groundwork, been working with Mike Offenberg. They are willing to let us raffle to $25,000 value vehicle. And you can see right away that's above what city regulations are. This is a model on another band's raffle that is of comparable size and success. We're looking to raise a lot of money to best utilize our parents' time, what the band needs right now, and to go out into the community and invite you to participate in supporting that awesome program. So I ask that you would vote for our exception. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's no one else in public participation, I'm going to close the public portion of participation. Alderman Bittner, you wanted to speak, and I'll let you speak now.
Yes, Mayor, I have a statement from one of the residents on West A Street I'd like to read. Ladies and gentlemen, with this letter, I would like to address the members of the Belleville City Council and Belleville administration regarding the Lindenwood University Belleville's development in the residential neighborhoods surrounding their campus. The Lindenwood has made some positive contributions to our community. I feel that I would be remiss in my responsibilities as a Bellevillian if I didn't address their lack of adherence to the rules and regulations of the city that welcomed them. As I am certain you are all aware, Lindenwood has been rapidly buying single-family homes and has recently purchased several in my block, the 2000 block of West A. The key words here being single-family homes. My neighborhood is zoned residential, and LU's actions do not reflect a respect for that zoning. Currently, the number of occupants in several of these homes exceeds the city's residency regulations in place. Furthermore, any improvements that Lindenwood would propose to the lot or residence must be consistent and compatible with the same existing zoning requirements that I and my neighbors had to abide by prior to occupancy. Given that this is residential, Lindenwood must adhere to the maximum site coverage, percentage of total land square footage that is developed. If and only if they've been approved to demolish a house, they must then comply with rules for demolition and improvement. Any owners of a residential property must maintain the existing streetscape. Belleville enjoys boasting of its rich history and charm, and all the while Lindenwood is ripping through the fabric of our neighborhood's landscape with tree removals, lawn removal to make gravel parking lots, widespread weed killer spray to some mature, established landscape vegetation, to name just a few of the infractions. Lindenwood considers their houses part of the campus, yet the upkeep landscape is dramatically different from that of the main campus. I invite each of you to come see what has been done in this neighborhood and then ask yourself if you want that next to you where you live. Anyone who truly cares about his or her community would likely say no. In case anyone is thinking that I'm merely letting off steam, I want you to know that I'm a lifelong Belleville citizen. My 101-year-old home has been in my family since 1955, and my neighborhood is the very one that my parents grew up in. I've seen it change through the years, but when it became available, I thought it would be great to live near the blossoming LU Belleville campus. Little did I know that some years later, Lindenwood would be poaching houses in my neighborhood, leaving myself and my neighbors surrounded by houses filled with young adults that did not realize they are guests passing through our 100-plus-year-old neighborhood. The footprint LU is leaving in our neighborhood is not a desirous one to those who call Belleville home. In conclusion, it is imperative that LU comply with the regulations in place. On behalf of my neighborhood, I am requesting that the residential zoning in West A blocks between 20th and 21st Streets remain in place with no variance. Officials of Belleville, you were elected to work for the citizens, taxpayers of Belleville, and not for Lindenwood. Please do so. Sincerely, Casey Bierman. I'd like to make this record too. Can I put a copy? So I'll give it to you, Dallas.
Sounds good.
Okay. With that,
Mayor,
yes.
can I just bring up something? You know, we're in a situation here where we've got a mid-city university that is experiencing unprecedented growth. I know for a fact Lindenwood wants to be a good neighbor. But also, I also understand if I lived on those streets, I would be very, very concerned. And I'm I think a lot of us are hearing this for the first time tonight about these occupancy permits, about the number of students living in these homes, that we could be circumventing our own ordinances as far as housing, which I think the council needs to be apprised of this situation if it is happening. But also, with what we've got on our plate now in the city, especially you, Mayor, with all this development, we have so much going on. I'm just suggesting that you think about a commission that would be a liaison between all these neighbors and the university. A commission that could take these complaints, field these complaints, get together with Lindenwood they're gonna have a new president, get together with Lindenwood on a monthly basis, hammer these things out, solve these problems, and report back to you. We've got a lot of development that you're handling right now that we need to move forward. I think we need to have a little bit more hands-on approach with Lindenwood. They've been a great neighbor, but with this kind of growth, you know, there's going to be problems going down the road, and these people in these neighborhoods are seeing these problems. I'm just suggesting that we might think about this type of a commission that would be a liaison between the neighborhoods and the university.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I don't, this evening is not the forum that I can address, and I can address many of these comments tonight. And I possibly may put in writing and post it or see if it'll be printed or whatever, but let me just say this. First of all, other than Alderman Bittner and the lady who wrote the letter that he read, her father, except for Mrs. Bradley, I heard from her and we responded quickly. The rest of you folks, the first I've seen some of you, or you've not called me. That doesn't mean you haven't talked to some of the other staff, but we've not seen this number of concerns until tonight. I'm sorry? Well, Okay, thank you. And I will tell you that I have met twice already this year with Lindenwood, and I will meet again repeatedly. As Alderman Wigington mentioned, there's an abundance of growth, as many of you noted, and we're going to address it. It's a good thing, but your concerns are real, and we respect them. My staff is following the rules. There is a lot of inspections going on. I can't answer all your individual questions here tonight, but there's been some things that I think have not been totally enlightened correctly, but we will get to them and we will explain and we will go down the list. We're not overlooking, we're not looking the other way. We want safety, and we want everybody to be good neighbors. I will get with you. If some of you individually who are here tonight have some specific questions for me, please email or call my office, and I will individually talk to you like I did Mrs. Bradley. We send people out right away, and we'll continue. I want to let you know I also immediately talked to Matt Klosterman from 118 School, immediately. And I guarantee you that, that was one of the first phone calls I made the same day after I hung up for Mrs. Bradley. I called Mr. Klosterman because I thought if there were concerns at Union School, I hadn't heard them yet, but I wanted to get on those immediately. I don't want to speak for him, but I will tell you that he told me that he would check with the principal, but that he had no concerns. And we met since then again. We're going to continue to meet with Lindenwood. We're going to continue. I briefed your alderman the other day in my office after I met, and I brought them up to speed. So we've got more work to do. We're not turning our back on this. There's no coup here. We're going to get down to dealing with what's what and what's right. And then if we have to, along the way, make some amendments to some of the things. We said when we passed a few of these changes several years ago that there would be growing pains, and we probably would have to adjust as we go along. And they've got a remarkable amount of new students, and we're having growing pains. But we can work through this. I said it before, I'll say it again. These challenges are sure a lot better than sitting there looking at all those empty buildings that could have been there and could have been vandalized and everything else. So we will work through this. You're welcome to contact me also, and we will get through these questions individually as we can. Alderman Bittner?
Mayor, the issue is that Lindenwood has numerous kids in housing, and they do not have a variance to put these kids in these homes. We're backdooring this. We're going after the fact. There's 45 houses. There's a hearing on the 24th with 45 houses to get a variance so they could put this many kids in these homes. It should have been done before.
And Mr. Bittner, I addressed you right away and told you that Lindenwood admitted that there was a mistake made this time, and we explained they had illness in the staff who was dealing with this, and they came forthright and told us that they apologized, but they missed the earlier deadline. They'd worked with us every year.
But then, Mayor, you're going on the assumption that this is going to be passed.
I'm not on any assumption. I'm just on the assumption that we can work with this and we don't have to stir people up.
Who's stirring people up, Mayor?
Alderman Bittner, I think we have to leave it here tonight, because I think you have a personal conflict with this issue.
Yes, I do.
And I think we need to leave it alone here tonight, and we will address these things. And folks, the zoning board meeting is the 24th in this room at 7 p.m. The zoning board is an advisory board that makes a recommendation to the city council. It will come back here to probably the next city council meeting after that. Is that probably correct, Melissa, timing-wise? And so you will have a chance to voice your opinion again. And in the meantime, it's been requested to put this, to review some of the current ordinances and rules at the next Health and Housing meeting, the first Wednesday of October. That will also be done. And we will methodically look at this and carefully with our attorneys and with everybody. And if changes are appropriate, we'll make changes. But I don't think we need to suddenly throw anybody under the bus. I think we just need to take our time, and we'll work through this.
Mayor,
We wanna be good
I'm
neighbors.
sorry, Mayor, but the only people being thrown under the bus are the people living on these streets.
Well, it's not certainly our intention to do that, and we're going to listen. Tonight's the first I've heard, other than from you and from the one other young lady whose father contacted me. I have not heard from these other folks, and I respect that. And I don't know if Mr. Sable or any police or anybody else heard, but it sounds like maybe a few of you made calls. Mrs. Bradley was representing some of you, and we got on the speeding, and we got on several of the issues immediately, and we will continue. We're not going to tolerate inappropriate behavior. Now, I'm not going to, we got a whole meeting here to go yet. So I can just assure you, this is not falling on deaf ears. And we are going to deal with it, and if you want to have more one-on-one with me, just call me. The people here who know me will meet with you, okay? We will meet with you. So I'm going to leave this topic here tonight, and we've already closed public participation. And shifting to the next item, I'm going to go ahead and ask Darrell Coons to come forward. He's going to give the word of the month for the character word of the month, and he's going to tell you a little bit about the Belleville Helping Belleville Days that are coming up here September 12th.
Thank
Darrell?
you, Mayor. I'll tell you that probably next month, October 5th, you'll get somebody much better looking to come, because we'll get our basic youth back coming each month to give the character word. Our working definition for respect in September is showing regard for self, others, property, and those in authority. But those who meet with me on a regular basis know that I don't like to leave it there. I like to see what other people have said about our word for the month. Lawrence Stern said, respect for ourselves guides our morals. Respect for others guides our manners. Confucius said, respect yourself and others will respect you. And in honor of the fact that he just passed away last week, Wayne Dyer said, the respect you show to others or the lack thereof is an immediate reflection on your self-respect. So just take that as you want to. And we appreciate the fact that over the last several years, the City Council has allowed us to share the character words. I want to tell you now about Belleville Helping Belleville Day, which is this next Saturday, the 12th. On Saturday, we have 12 different projects going on. They range from painting a house, from helping to clear up a yard that's overgrown with ivy, to building a bedroom for a child who has special needs, to going to Henry Robb School and fixing up the playground. And we hope eventually to be able to install a new piece of equipment on that playground, to working in some of our parks where our children play day in and day out. We're going to go in and do some painting and some changing over of the pea gravel to the rubber mulch and things like that. There's going to be a painting job down just across the border from Belleville, the Catholic Urban Programs building. They're providing all the paint. We're just going to get some people to do like that. And hopefully we'll make that a pretty place. We're also going back to St. John Bosco Center this year, and we're going to be doing some landscaping and some more work in their retention pond. Beyond that, We're probably cleaning up Highway 161 and Royal Heights Road. And if necessary, we may paint a few chalets for the Chris Kendall Mark. The reason I wanted you to know that today is that anybody and everybody can come and join us. And in fact, I need for at least one of you who hasn't volunteered before to come and take my place, because I found out today I can't be there Saturday. Doctors tell you things like that. So somebody who can paint can take my place painting. 8 o'clock Saturday morning at Abraham Lincoln School. We'll meet there and get our assignments and go out and do our work, helping our neighbors and helping make Belleville a better place to live. If you want to check out the projects, www.bellevillehelpingbelleville.com. All right? Thank you.
Thanks, Darrell. We appreciate it, and we do encourage all of you to get involved if you can. And we thank you because many of you here and throughout the community have really volunteered a lot of hours, and it's made a big difference. So, okay, this time we're going to move on to the regular portion of the meeting. First thing is the approval of the minutes. I'd ask for a motion to approve, accept and file the city council minutes from the meeting of August 17, 2015. What's your pleasure? Motion to accept and file by Alderman Hazel, second by Alderman Schmidt. Any additions or corrections? All in favor of accepting and filing signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We have the claims and payroll disbursements broken down, but can we have one motion to pay all these and these three? Yes. We have a motion by Alderman Schmidt to pay the claims of and the motion for the payroll and the payroll from ending August 21st and the payroll ending September 4th.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Schmidt, second by Alderman Wiggington. Do I hear discussion?
They're broken down because of their different time frames. Is that the reasoning?
It was recently asked to break them down. We used to do it as one motion, Alderman Elmore, and I had no problem, so Jamie made sure that we break them down as we, as we go forward, so they're broken down. So it just shows you how much is in the claims, how much is payroll in each of those payroll periods. And you can see payroll's a little over $825,000, usually most pays. We have a motion, we have a second. If there's no additions or corrections, roll call.
Hazel. Aye. Kinsella.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Bittner.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Anthony. Ovian.
Aye.
Dentelman.
Aye.
Seibert. White. Galletti. Elmore.
Aye.
Wigington. Musgrove.
Aye.
Motion carries. We have a motion from the Zoning Board of Appeals. You want to read that?
Sure. (11A), Case 25, August 15, Bill Yunt Signs and Electric, requesting a sign installation permit in the area of special control in order to place one flush-mounted LED illuminated 72-square-foot sign that will replace the existing signage at Firestone Complete Auto Care at 232 West Main Street, located in a C2 heavy commercial zoning district, applicable portion of zoning code 53-4-1, Ward 5, ordinance number 7889.
Do I hear a motion for approval? Motion by Alderman Schmidt. Do I hear a second? Second by Alderman Seibert. Any discussion on this motion? The motion is to, I'm asking for a motion to, for all in favor and have the proper ordinance drawn, okay? All in favor and have the proper ordinance drawn, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Economic Development and Annexation Committee. I guess we go to, Mr. Silsby's not here. Who wants to do it? You want to do it, Janet?
Should I read these as a group?
Well, I'm just asking you guys, you want to break them out? How do you want
Break
to do
them
it?
out,
Okay.
break
What?
them out, break them out.
Okay, read one at a time.
All right. First, a motion to approve a development agreement with Precision Practice Management, Inc. for the remodeling of the existing facility located at 218 West Main Street.
We have a motion from.
Second.
And we have a second by Alderman Kinsella. Motion was made by Alderman Schmidt on behalf of Economic Development. Discussion on this motion. Roll call.
Hazel. Aye. Kinsella.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Bittner.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Anthony. Ovian.
Aye.
Dentelman.
Aye.
Seibert. White.
Aye.
Galletti.
Aye.
Elmore. Wigington. Musgrove.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve an amended development agreement with ProPac Testing Laboratories, Inc.
Second.
We We have a motion by Alderman Schmidt, second by Alderman Kinsella, for the item 11B-3. I'm sorry, B-2. Any discussion? Roll call.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Bittner.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Anthony. Ovian.
Aye.
Dentelman.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
Galletti. Elmore.
Aye.
Wigington. Musgrove.
Aye.
Motion carries. Alderman Schmidt.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve an amended development agreement with Coley 2 LLC for the remodeling of the existing facility located at 15 North First Street.
Alderman Kinsella. Second. Do I hear discussion? Roll call.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Bittner.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Anthony.
Aye.
Ovian.
Aye.
Dentelman.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
White. Galletti. Elmore.
Aye.
Wigington.
Aye.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Motion carries. You know what? Just dawned on me, you're the chairman of this committee.
I'm doing quite fine.
You're okay.
I'm all right.
I was thinking Silsby, he's finance. It's just a, you know, a little bit of, a little senior moment here, but that's okay. You're doing good. I didn't mean to slide you there. Okay, if you want to proceed as you were, whoever, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to approve raising the city's hotel and motel tax from 5% to 8%.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Schmidt, second by Alderman Kinsella, to change the motel hotel tax from 5% to 8%. Any discussion? Roll call.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Bittner.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Anthony.
Aye.
Ovian.
Aye.
Dentelman.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
White. Galletti. Elmore.
Aye.
Wigington.
Aye.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Motion carries. We move on.
Next, I'd like to make a motion to approve an amended development agreement with Missionary Ventures LLC for a development located at Illinois Route 15 and North Demazenod Drive.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Schmidt, second by Alderman Kinsella. Discussion. Yes, sir.
I am all for progress and new business in Belleville. I believed when the Game on Sports was added to the Missionary Ventures LLC project, it was the one component which would make the development successful. I thought now we would see the first hotel and possibly the second built. But before we even break ground on one hotel, we were asked to double the incentive package for a possibility of a third and fourth hotel. I believe the responsible thing to have done was to keep the original agreement and have the project prove itself before we had hand over an additional $20 million. 3 weeks ago or so, we were asked to agree to a $15 million. Tonight, we were asked to agree to another $20 million. What's the next request? My fear is to float bonds to help finance this project. We should have stayed with the original agreement, and then if successful, we could have negotiated perhaps a better deal for the taxpayers and residents of Belleville if additional hotels were to be built. For these reasons, my fellow colleagues, I will not be voting in favor of this proposal this evening.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. This was well explained in the 2 committee meetings. Many of you were there. If anybody has any additional questions, be glad to have staff or myself answer them. Hearing none, I'd ask for a roll call.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Bittner.
No.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Anthony.
Aye.
Ovian.
Aye.
Dentelman.
Aye.
Seibert.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
Galletti.
Aye.
Elmore.
Aye.
Wigington.
Aye.
Musgrove.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, and finally, I'd like to make a motion to approve a development agreement with Game On Sports Development LLC for the construction of a soccer multi-sport complex located near North Demazenod Drive.
Motion by Alderman Schmidt, second by Alderman Anthony.
Discussion.
Question, go ahead.
Under responsibilities of the city, I'd just like to get a further explanation of number 4.
Garrett, can you pull it up? Or Eric? You got it in front of you?
I can read it. I can, extend all required utilities to the site.
Well, as you remember from their explanation, in a prior deal, they were having to extend utilities under a highway, interstate and everything. They're just asking that we get the utilities up to the site, which is the property, the 40 acres approximately it's gonna be built on. And we explained in committee meetings that Phase 1, Missionary Ventures project, is going to get them to the site, correct? And I see the engineers back there nodding their head, and Forrest, you agree it's gonna be taken to the site. So we're not planning on taking on any more cost. There's nothing else. The developer of Missionary Ventures is going to get the utilities to the site for Game On to be able to grab onto them. You'll take it from there on. Okay, at their cost.
Okay, and so then they'll get it to the site, and then you'll move it to the clubhouse.
Right,
Person.
exactly. Or
For
to the light
instance.
poles or wherever they got to go.
All right, and then that's not going to be the responsibility of the city?
No, no, and that was explained in committee, the various committee meetings, but it's a good question.
Well, I may have missed that, but
Okay.
in reading the responsibilities of the city, it,
No.
of course, doesn't explain
Okay.
all of that.
Okay?
One more.
Yes.
As I previously said, when Game On came along, I said that was the thing that was going to make this development work. So I told you guys in committee, I'm 100% behind that part of this. I think that's going to be a moneymaker for you and for the city. It's going to draw people here. So I am completely behind that phase of the project.
We have a motion, we have a second. If there's no more questions, I'd ask for a roll call on 11B6.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Bittner.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Anthony.
Aye.
Ovian.
Aye.
Dentelman.
Aye.
Seibert. White. Galletti.
Elmore.
Aye.
Wiggington. Musgrove.
Motion carries. We go on to the Finance Committee's motion. Now Alderman Silsby's not here. Who's on Finance? Joe. Joe, you want to make that motion?
Yes, motion to approve various public building improvements and improvement bids to low bidders as shown in bid result package. And update to impact strategies, contract for updated guaranteed maximum price.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Hazel, second by Alderman Seibert. Do I hear discussion? Roll call.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Bittner.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Anthony. Ovian.
Aye.
Dentelman.
Aye.
Seibert. White. Galletti. Elmore. Wiggington. Musgrove.
Motion carries. Health and Housing.
Motion to approve motion to approve to modify the residency requirements for the city housing inspectors.
We have a motion by Alderman Kinsella. Do I hear a second? Second by Alderman Schmidt. Do I hear discussion?
What, can we get a bit of more of a explanation?
They contacted Mr. Sable, and I met with them, and they have asked for some time. As you know, we've held up all raises this year because of the state situation. And there's a couple of these inspectors who have been there for probably almost 20 years. And they asked if the council would consider treating them like some of the other union contracts. So they pulled up the one that I believe in front of you, which you have in your packet, is that after 12 years, right, Bob? That they could be considered to live outside the city limits, like several of the other unions now have acquired that. And it's just because two of them are getting closer to their 20-year plus time, and they're looking at possibly purchasing maybe their retirement residence or something in the future in the country or whatever. So that's where this came from. And I told them we would take it to the council. We took it to Health and Housing first, it passed there, and now we're here tonight. Yes, sir.
How many city inspectors does that include?
4.
4, okay.
4.
So
They're
we cover
not,
all
they're
of them.
non-union, so they don't have it in a contract, but there's 4 this would include. Okay? So we have a motion and we have a second in front of you. Roll call.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Bittner.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Anthony. Ovian.
Aye.
Dentelman. Seibert. White. Galletti. Elmore. Wiggington. Musgrove.
Motion carries. Master Sewer, Alderman Dillman.
On behalf of the Master Sewer Committee, I'd like to make a motion to amend the engineering contract with Gonzalez Company LLC for the Missionary Ventures LLC sewer extension.
Motion by Alderman Dillman, second by Alderman Seibert. Any discussion?
Yes, I got one question.
Yes, sir.
Where does this put us on the cost now with the revisions?
Randy, I hear you. Who's here for Royce, I think? Anybody? Yeah, Royce is here. What's the question? Where's?
It's an additional $69,900
Yeah. Does that answer your question, Alderman Randall? Okay.
Sir.
Okay. We have a motion and we have a second. Roll call.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Bittner.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Anthony.
Aye.
Ovian.
Aye.
Dintelman.
Aye.
Seibert. White. Galletti. Elmore. Wigington.
Aye.
Musgrove.
Motion carries.
Communications.
Communications. I don't know, do you folks, you want to read these? Any,
Your Honor, I have a minor question on 12B, so if we can kind of do that separately.
12B, what's your question?
The question is, it's basically, it states that it's for a fundraiser and they're going to have a band and everything. I was not able to find out from what's in the packet what the fundraiser is for. It's my curiosity before I voted. I'd like to know.
Yes, can you answer that? Because I think you represent.
Yeah, I'm the president of Veterans Pride. It's actually a fundraiser for Veterans Pride. And we just want to sell hot dogs and chili, have a very small band for a couple hours, and it's to raise funds for our festival in 2016. Plus, we're adopting a family this year for the holidays, so that we can give back to one of our families and to other local organizations in the holiday season.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yes, sir.
I was gonna make a motion to read them all at once.
Yeah, I can.
So are there any other questions, or can we read them all at once?
I have a question on 12, on the Scarecrow Festival, Harvest Festival.
Yes? That's near the end, I believe, isn't it?
Yes, the last 12I.
Okay, go ahead.
The question of the food truck, do we have ordinance that
Well,
this is going
if-
to be on
if-
city property?
If the city council approves it and they do get their county health inspection, we're okay with that, right, Garrett? If it's part of a recognized event that we approve,
On city property?
yes.
Okay, we're not setting the precedent then? Or
Well,
have we
we've
done
had
that
them, we've
before?
had them at Wine, Dine, and Jazz. We've had them at a couple of
Food
things that they
courts
got approved.
or food trucks?
Yes.
Yeah, Alta too.
We had them at Altough. I mean, they just,
Alto's private though.
I know, but Wine, Dine, and Jazz, 2 years in a row, Patty Gregory requested food trucks, and we've done them.
Okay.
Okay? City council approved them. So, if there's no other questions than that, let's read all these communications as a group.
12A 2016 Pride Festival, Saturday, June 11, 2016. Closure will be from 8 to midnight as in past years. Requesting police officers from 5 or 6 p.m. until the conclusion of the event. Requesting closure from right after the fountain to the corner of West Main at 3rd Street, as well as each block off of Main on 1st and 2nd Street on both sides. Requesting side streets closed off from 8 a.m. until midnight as well. As in past years, there will be vendors and live entertainment throughout the day, and we welcome local stores within the area of the festival grounds to participate with us. 12B, Club Escapade, October Block Party, Saturday, October 10th, 2015. Requesting closure of 2nd Street between Club Escapade and Eckert's Florist from 3 p.m. until 11 p.m. They will be selling chili and hot dogs for a fundraiser and will have a small band performing from 7 p.m. until 10 p.m. outside. 12C, Chiromed's 6th Annual 5K Run Walk and 4th Annual Main Street Mile, Saturday, January 23rd, 2016. Communication from Chiromed requesting permission to hold their 6th Annual 5K Run Walk on January 23rd, 2016. And 4th Annual Main Street Mile, starting and finishing at Belleville West. Utilizing city, county, and state roadways, they are requesting 2 police officers. Belleville Oktoberfest, Belleville Stags Vintage Baseball Game, Saturday, September 19th through the 20th of 2015. Requesting approval for the Belleville Stags to hold a vintage baseball game to be held at Huff Park. Parks and Recreation has confirmed availability. Belleville East Marching Lancers Band Parents Association, DBA, Belleville East Band and Orchestra Parents, Bebop. Bebop respectfully requests an exemption to Article 17 of the raffle license regarding retail value of all prizes or merchandise awarded in a single raffle shall not exceed $25,000, and retail value of each prize in a single raffle shall not exceed $15,000. Due to the immediate need to raise funds to purchase 7 marching tubas and an entire new drumline. Pedal for the Pooches, Sunday, September 20th, 2015. Communication from Sevens requesting permission to close the first block of South High Street between East Main and East Washington in front of Sevens on Sunday, September 20th, 2015 from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. for Pedal for the Pooches event. Pitcher's Restaurant, Friday, September 25th, 2015. Communication from Police Griffin, along with Soul Band, which will be performing at Pitcher's Restaurant on Friday, September 25th, 2015, beginning at 5:30 p.m. Requesting if the city can block off the areas of 1st and West Main Street ending at 2nd and West Main. Also requesting electricity, which is needed for the band for their equipment. 12H, Lighthouse of Hope Church, Sunday, September 20th, 2015. Requesting to hold an outside church service from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. Food will be provided. The church will contact the neighbors to let them know about the service. Next, Scarecrow Harvest Festival, Friday, October 16, 2015. Requesting to put up a banner and a few props in front of the parking lot to use as advertising for our event 2 to 3 weeks before the festival. Requesting to reserve the parking lot for Saturday, or starting Friday, October 16th at noon, so that we may begin setting up and organizing this new exciting festival. In addition to the use of the parking lot, they would love to have permission to use the green space connected to the lot. 4204 will serve beer and food. They will be pursuing a special event liquor license. There will also be food truck if it is allowed. It caters to a healthy diet and is nutritious, delicious food. It is in alignment with the wellness vitality factor in our festival. Red Delicious gives the festival patrons a vegetarian option. I could use some of that myself. 12J, Illinois Rough Stock and Barrel Racing Series, October 9th through 10th, 2015. Kevin Crane and Rachel Murphy, doing business as Seabar Rodeo Company, requesting approval to hold the IRBS Illinois Rough Stock and Barrel Racing Series finals at Belle Claire Fairgrounds, October 9th and 10th through 2015 from 7 to 9 p.m. pending submission of completed application for permit.
Very good. Get a drink of water.
I know, Nick.
Have a motion to approve the communications.
I move we approve all of them.
Motion, second by Alderman Wiggington. Motion was by Alderman Schmidt. Any discussion? Alderman Elmore?
One question, Mayor.
On 12G, it talks about Pitcher's Restaurant closing the street. I think we probably ought to clarify when the street closure starts.
It begins at 5:30, but they're not gonna be able to close it too much before that because it's a Friday and the businesses are open till 5. So I
So
don't
the
have.
street barricades will stay at bay until 5.
Yeah, we will do that because they know that the businesses are open till 5. So we'll work with that. Like I said, I have not heard from them, and I don't have that piece of paper right in front of me at the
I just
moment.
don't see it addressed in.
Yeah,
so that's fine.
okay, yes, sir.
Question on the electricity is the city providing electricity or what's?
We have in the past. We have in the past. There's not been a way to break it down board by board, and it's a matter to plug in, a band. It's never proved out to be where we have any real spikes from these festivals in our electrical bill, but we've had a discussion about breaking it out, but it's be very difficult to meter all this and to break down each particular group or each particular block. It would be very expensive to try to meter all that, so we just never have. We've looked at it, but never have.
It's an excellent question. It also, when the city is doing it, it's a safer source of electricity than somebody taking a bunch of extension cords and
Well,
laying them in the gutter.
Yeah, we have to set it up. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve these communications, quite a lengthy list. All in favor of approving all these communications signify by saying aye. Aye. Oppose? Motion's carry. We move on. At this time, we have no petitions and no resolutions. I'd ask for a motion to read by title only. Ordinance number 7891, 7892, and 7893.
Excuse me, Your Honor, 7892, what is that in reference to?
It's a case 25.
It's the boast that was earlier, zoning board earlier in the meeting. I'm sorry. The one
Okay,
case that.
the sign?
Yeah, the sign, it's for the
Okay.
sign. I'm sorry, it's for the sign. I had to stop and think myself. So that answers that, okay?
Yes, sir, thank you.
So I'm asking for a motion to read by title only those three ordinances. Motion by Alderman Schmidt, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Hazel, do I hear discussion on reading by title only? All in favor of reading those three ordinances as stated by title only, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now, do you want to read them as a group, or do you want to do them individually? Group, okay. Proceed.
15-8, ordinance number 7891, 2015, ordinance approving the final plat for Greenmount Manor Phase 4. 15B, ordinance number 7892, 2015, an ordinance approving case 25, August 15. 15C, ordinance number 7893 of 2015, an ordinance amending chapter 43 of the taxation code.
I hear a motion to approve these ordinances. Motion by Alderman Schmidt, second by Alderman Kinsella. And that's to approve ordinance 7891, 7892, and 7893. Discussion, roll call.
Hazel.
Aye.
Kinsella.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Bittner.
Aye.
Randall.
Aye.
Tyler.
Aye.
Anthony.
Aye.
Ovian.
Aye.
Dentelman.
Aye.
Seibert. White. Galletti. Elmore.
Aye.
Wigington.
Aye.
Musgrove.
Motion's carry. Unfinished business? Miscellaneous and new business, we have a motor fuel claims in the amount of $13,464.59. Alderman Scheibert. Motion, second by Alderman Dillman. Any discussion? Roll call.
Hazel. Kinsella. Schmidt. Bittner. Randall. Tyler. Anthony. Ovian. Dintelman. Seibert. White. Galletti. Elmore. Wiggington. Musgrove.
Motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go into executive session briefly. There's no action to be taken when we come out. I'd ask for a motion to go into executive session for the purposes of personnel, litigation, workman's comp, property acquisition, but we're not going to have all those. We have motion by Alderman Tyler, second by Alderman Schmidt. All in favor of going into executive session signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. If you would mind, we'll be Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're back in open session, and I call for a motion to adjourn. Alderman Galletti, second by Alderman Schmidt. Any discussion on adjournment? All in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.